Shopping, especially in big supermarkets, can involve lots of different movements and sensory information that can be quite challenging for someone with MS. Supermarkets can be big, busy, very brightly lit, and quite complicated to maneuver around at times. So not only the physical tasks can be challenging, but maneuvering and negotiating around crowds and with all those other sensory things going on can really make it quite a difficult task for some. So why not practice some of those things at home in a safe, isolated environment so that hopefully you get a bit more confidence in those parts of shopping you find challenging. We're going to go through a few different tasks that you can practice to try and make the experience a little bit easier. First, we're going to focus on the act of walking down an aisle in a supermarket looking for something. Doesn't sound all that hard, but it can be really, really challenging. So first of all, I want you to start by turning your head side to side. As you do this, find something to look at each side. So it might be the light switch, might be a picture, might be the clock. And let your eyes get focus on that thing before you turn to the other side. Now, if you feel a little bit dizzy or quite unsteady as you do this, you might have an impairment of your vestibular system, which is your inner ear balance system. And if you start to feel unpleasant, you can just stop and stand still or take a seat. But if those symptoms come on quite quickly for you, it might be well worth you asking your neurologist or your MS nurse to refer you to neurophysiotherapy for an assessment. If you feel okay, you're going to carry on with those head turns. Get your brain used to the fact you need to turn your head as you are doing other things. So classic in the supermarket aisle, looking for something on the shelves. So add into this walking on the spot. And you're going to see if you can stay on the same spot you started on, avoid moving forwards or backwards as you move your head. And you'll start to feel that moving your head makes you want to veer off to one side or the other. Try and compensate for that using your balance. Don't need to lift your legs high here. Just going to keep looking from side to side in the aisle. Okay, pause for a moment. Well done. Now we're going to imagine we're looking for a particular tin in that shopping aisle, and you're going to have to look at the high shelves, the low shelves, look all around you. So start that walking on the spot again. See if you're still in the same spot. If you've moved forwards, try and move back a bit and stay there. And then you're going to start looking up high, down low, medium. Move your head all around in all directions, like you're walking down that supermarket aisle, looking out for something that's a bit tricky to find. Well done. If you've kept your balance in the same spot, fantastic. If you feel yourself veering off to one side, next time you try this, try and remember that and compensate for that direction that you were going to. The reason it's really important to practice moving your head is so that you don't always fix your eyes in the same spot. It's tempting to do that to keep your balance, but in real life, we do need to move our head and our eyes from side to side. Think about crossing the road as a really good example. So if you know you go off balance when you move your head, just make sure you've got a chair or your kitchen counter beside you to hold on if you do wobble. But it's a really good exercise to practice little and often and to try and see if your balance can improve as you keep going with that. Now the focus shifts to lifting and carrying your shopping. So have 2 shopping bags on the floor or alternatively water bottles, or I'll show you how to do the exercise with weights a little bit later. But starting with shopping bags, you can make these as light or as heavy as you want to start training with. And the exercise starts with your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart and getting your weight in the middle so that you're 50-50. You can always look in the mirror to make sure you've got that one right. We're going to bend down to pick up both bags. And because I've got long handles, I'm going to wrap the bag around my hand, because otherwise, if I stood up with the long handles, it would be cheating. I'm going to bend forwards with a straight back and then straighten up to straight legs with some power. You're then going to bend down again with the knees slowly bending, straight back, and power up to straight legs. So we're using this shopping to be our resistance in a squat. So take your shoulders forwards in the squat. As you're here, you should have your bottom as far back behind you as possible and low down if you can. Then you're going to power up with some speed and force if you can, and slowly lower, taking the bottom as low as you can go. So as you do this one, make sure your knees stay apart, the same width at the bottom of the squat as they do at the top. You don't want your knees to be coming in towards each other as you lower or push up. So you can keep going with this squat. Of course, you can make it harder by putting a little more shopping and load into your bags. Alternatively, you can do it with no resistance at first and build up to doing a little bit more. To simulate that carrying of heavy shopping, you could progress to doing this exercise with some hand weights. So putting them on the floor, again, your weight is 50-50. You're going to stick your bottom out behind you, keep your back nice and straight, and reach down to the weights. Power up. Then slowly landing those bags or weights down to the floor with control. Imagine you've got boxes of eggs in your shopping and you don't want to break them. So be really careful as you lower down and put them down. If you want to add in a little bit of balance and core work too, holding your load on each side, you could bring in walking on the spot. Really nice way of getting your core muscles engaged. That heavy weight is testing you and trying to take you off balance, but you're going to try and walk on the spot as if you're carrying your shopping home from the shops. Of course, when you get home, you're going to lower it down slowly with control. Now you're going to imagine that you're reaching up to those high shelves and down to those low shelves in the supermarket. So with one hand reaching up and out, you're then going to take that hand down to a lower shelf on the other side. So again, reach diagonally up and out and across your body. And this is to challenge your balance. So have that chair or kitchen counter next to you. See if you need it or not. If you don't have to hold on, see if you can challenge your balance a little bit more by not holding on. Now this is going to work your leg muscles a bit too. So if your legs are feeling tired, you don't have to bend your knees here. You could just do the movement more like this. Okay, well done. Stop there, gonna change arms. So as you use the other arm, I want you to keep your eyes on your hand. So as you reach up and out, and as you go down low, keep your eyes on your hand to make this exercise a little bit more challenging. This challenges your balance even more. You're having to keep focus on that moving target. Great. Okay, we've got the reaching high and low. Now, if you want to make the exercise a little bit more challenging, again, bring your feet either together or near together and see if the same movement is a little bit harder. Keep the eyes on the hand if you can. Few on each side. Go the other way. So you're moving your arm, which will be challenging your balance in itself, and reaching high and low is meaning you're having to react balance-wise to all these different movements that are going on. Now, if you want to make it a little bit harder, you can use a cushion or a physio balance mat like this one on the floor to make the surface you're standing on a little bit unstable. So make sure you can balance on that first. You can use a normal sofa type cushion instead if that's what you've got at home. Make sure you can balance, go into a position that's a little bit challenging for you. So feet close or feet right together, and then try the same movement. Eyes on the hand, high and low. And you can do a few on each side. If your ankles and feet are wobbling, fantastic. Those are balance reactions. And those are the things we want to train to make your balance reactions as effective and efficient and as snappy as possible. This is a really good one to practice little and often when you can. The focus of this next movement is to practice putting away your shopping on the shelves once you get home. So I want you to step one foot forwards in front of the other, not so it feels like you're standing on a tightrope, have a bit of space between your feet. And we're going to imagine we've got a tin in our hands and a shelf in front of us. So shift your weight forwards onto the front foot and reach that tin out to the shelf. Then bring it back into your body and take your weight back again to the back foot. We're going to repeat onto the front foot, reaching out and back in. Now this is going to test your balance because you're taking your arms out of that nice safe base of support, out of your usual balanced steady state. And having one foot forwards means that front foot has to work really hard to keep you balanced. Have a go with the other leg. One foot in front of the other, shift your weight forwards onto it and reach out. This time keep your hands, your eyes on your hands. So you're reaching out, see how far you can go. Now this is tricky because the front foot has to do all the balance work here. See if you can lift your back heel now. So the front foot's having to do even more of the work before coming back to the middle. One more on this side. Great. Keep practicing like that if that feels enough for you. So to make this movement a little bit harder, you could use a real tin or a bottle of water or a hand weight to add a little bit of resistance to the movement. So again, one foot forwards, this time having to balance a little bit harder because that heavy can is wanting to make your hands drop down and you're having to resist that. So we could do a few on each leg there. If you want to make it harder still, as we swap legs, reach up to a higher shelf. So reach forwards and up this time. Keep your eyes on that tin to add to the balance challenge and see how high you can go. If you're confident, you could even go up onto tiptoes there to really test your balance as you're reaching to the shelf.